Hello everyone, this is Randy from BibleBuyingGuide.com. Today I wanted to compare a couple of Bibles, the King James Concord Wide Margin from Cambridge and the King James Brevier Clarendon Wide Margin from R.L. Allen. The R.L. Allen that I have here is goat skin, and the Cambridge that I have is calf split. So let's take a look and see how they compare. They're very similar in size. Footprint is about the same. Thickness is about the same, although I'd say the Allen is a little thicker, but not by a massive amount. The Allen is a little bit more difficult to hold, but that's because of the floppiness of the goat skin. And then we have a beautiful blue liner with a art gilt line. And the paper on these are the same. 38 GSM. Well, the same thickness, not the same paper, same thickness. 38 GSM. This one is a little bit creamier colored almost than this one is. They're both really nice Bibles. The newer version, this is the first edition of the Allen Brevier Clarendon. The newer version has 42 GSM paper, if I'm remembering correctly. Both have 8-point fonts. This is based on the Concord, which doesn't include the reference and footnote keys in the text, but it does include italics and it does include self-pronouncing marks. And it also has page summaries at the top, one for each column. The R.L. Allen does not include self-pronouncing text, but it does include the footnote and reference keys in the text. The size of the text is a little different between the two. The Concord is 6 3/4 by 4.5. See, I went there, didn't I? Let's go there in the same place. And the Clarendon is 5 3/4 by 4. But they have about the same amount of space per verse. The main difference is that the Clarendon does not include a concordance. But here in the back, we've got lined paper. Both are black letter editions. Both are beautiful. I love both of these Bibles. They are excellent Bibles. Let's see, we've got notes. And I will turn to the same page here. This one includes a glossary, which I do like. So this one has a glossary, and then it has a concordance, and the concordance is also wide margin, which is really helpful if you want to add your own, or if you want to add definitions next to the words or something like that. Really good. And then we have alphabetized pages, a page for every letter of the alphabet. This one has pages for notes. Basically, they're the same, for the same purpose, pretty much. Basically, just notes. And the reason that they alphabetize these is so that you can write down references under certain things. So, like J for Jesus. Every time you write a note about Jesus, you can write what the reference is and write, but the basic topic or something along that line. That's just one option, one way you use it. I don't actually use mine that way, but you can. And then we have lined paper. This one has lined paper. Now this one, the Brevier Clarendon, its paper is after the maps. The Concord is before the maps. This is more similar to college rule, and this is more similar to normal, although it's smaller than normal, and I'd say it's probably smaller than college. I prefer the small, but that's me. Both are really nice, though. And this is actual notebook paper. So this isn't the 38 GSM that's used in the Bible itself. This is actual notebook paper. It's good stuff. And then here we have the index to maps, and then our maps. And then this one has its maps. I love the colors in these maps. These maps are nice too. They both really are nice. I kind of lean toward the colors of these though. It's just my personal preference. And it has the index to maps also. And which I like better? I don't know. I like them both. I can't choose. If you want a concordance, then this is definitely your best bet. If you don't like a concordance and you like the Brevier Clarendon layout, then this is, your best bet. The advantage in either one is that you have they both have the same pagination as this one. Has a Concord. This one has Brevier Clarendon. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here is a Brevier Clarendon. So if you have the Brevier Clarendon hand size, that's page 167. Let's go to page 167. They are the same. Exact same layout. Exact same size, or close to the same size. Really close to the same size. Almost exactly the same. This one, if you have a Concord, you have two options. You have the regular size edition, which I love. So that's page 154. So let's go to page 154. This is a red letter edition, but it's also available in black letter. So 154. So they are the same. Now the difference is, this is a smaller version than of this. This is a 9-point font, where this is an 8-point font. So they've reduced it down. Now the darkness of the font, the sharpness of the font, and the opacity of the paper, I don't have any issues reading the smaller font. So it works out really well. But you can see the difference in size here. Quite a bit larger. Not a lot, but quite a, it's noticeable. It's a noticeable difference. But same pagination there. And then you have another advantage with that, and that's you can get it in personal size. So you have really more options with the Concord. It's 154. Let's see if we can find 154 real quick. Not boring you too much. Turning pages. Almost there. I get to the next page and then all of a sudden I can't turn it. And I turn 2 pages. So there's the same pages for 3 Bibles. Just to give you an idea. So you have 3 options with Concord. You have 2 options with Brevier Clarendon. And 2 options is more than enough. But yeah, I love both of these Bibles. They're excellent. I highly recommend both of them. The size difference between them. Take a quick look here. The Concord, you're looking at a little bit over 7.5, 9.5, and this one you're looking at 7.5 and 9.5, just about. And thickness for the Concord, we have 1 3/4, and for the Brevier Clarendon, we have just a little bit over that, a little bit over 1 3/4. Something else I wanted to measure was the text block itself, because this one has a yap. This one does not so much. So the text block on the Cambridge is almost 7 1/4 by 9 1/4, and this one is 7 by 8.5. So you'll see the footprint being the same, but that's because you have this large yap. While we're at it, let's go ahead and measure the margin space. Margin space. Margin space is about the same per verse, like I was saying before, but so we have 1.5 on the outside here, and we have 1 1/4 on the outside here. But now the same verse is taller in this one than this one, because this one uses almost 2 inches width, and this one uses 1 3/4 width. So this one actually has more vertical space on a verse than this one does. So we have 1.5 on the outside here, 1 1/4 on the outside here. The inner margin is really hard to measure, but we have a little over 1 inch of usable space. This one has 1 1/4 inches of usable space. Then at the top, it kind of depends on where you measure from. We have 1 inch, not quite 1 inch. Get it down here where I can actually see. We have almost 1 inch, 7/8. And then this one we've got 1 inch. And then in the footer, I usually don't include this because there's so much other space around, so I'll go to the bottom of the text. We have 1 1/4 inches. And this one we have an 1.25 inches, maybe just a touch over 1.25 inches, maybe a 1/16 of an inch over. But it does equal out. I did some measurements once before and figured all that out. It does equal out really well. And so let's go ahead and zoom in so you can compare the text. It's kind of hard to tell because of all this space in the middle, but they do compare really well. Both are 8-point font. Might as well weigh them. We shall weigh them. See how they compare in weight. They're really close. I'd say they're really close. So the Concord, 3 pounds, 5.3 ounces. And the Brevier Clarendon, 3 pounds, 1.1 ounces. Now that's with the older paper, the 38 GSM. This one has 3 elegant ribbons also, where the Concord has the 2 standard ribbons. But now the 42 GSM is going to be a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. It's not a big deal though. But I highly recommend both these Bibles. Like them a lot. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll post some links in the notes where you can purchase. Thanks.